Cisco instructor Andrea here. In this video, I want to run through a few things as it relates to static routes. First of all, there are 4 types of static routes. There is a standard static route, a default static route, a summary static route, and a floating static route. These each have different jobs and a little bit different reasoning behind them. A standard static route is just like it says. That is a route that gets a packet from point A to point B, and it provides some information within the route. A default static route is called a quad zero route sometimes, or a gateway of last resort route. It basically is a route that will work when the router receives a packet that it doesn't recognize, that isn't in its route table. If it receives a packet destined to a network that it doesn't recognize, and there's a gateway of last resort or a default static route, it'll just forward that packet to the next router or the gateway of last resort. And I'll do some examples of those in another video. A summary static route. A summary static route is when a router has multiple routes that are contiguous in the network addressing. It can summarize it into one route, and that way it uses less resources. Again, I'll do another video to demonstrate that. And then lastly, there's a floating static route. A floating static route, an easy way to think of this is it is a backup route. If you set up dynamic routing, maybe using EIGRP, you would consider putting a floating static route just in case there was a failure. The floating static route will go to work. Now, the other thing that I really want you to understand that these 4 different types of routes can be written in different ways. And there's actually 3 different formats for writing static routes. And again, it doesn't matter if we're writing a standard static route, a default static route, a summary, or a floating. Any of these can be written in one of these 3 formats. The first format is called a next hop static route. And this is also called or considered a recursive route. And the reason is because the next hop address is used, and so the router has to do an extra lookup or a recursive lookup to find what exit interface to go through. And I'm going to make some other videos to represent some of these. A directly connected static route. This is also called an exit interface static route. And this is when we're writing the route statement using the exit interface. So we're not using the next hop address. Instead, we're using the exit interface. I actually prefer this one over the next hop static route. I think it is a little bit easier to understand when you're looking at route statements. And then lastly is the fully specified static route. This would be my very favorite one. One thing about the fully specified static route is it doesn't work in Packet Tracer. A fully specified static route just means that we're giving the route statement everything. We are giving it the next hop address and the exit interface. And I'm going to walk you through some examples of all of these. Remember that I said that all of these routes can be written in any of these formats. I can write a standard static route using the next hop format, using the directly connected format, or the fully specified. Same goes with the default static route. I can use any of those formats. A summary static route, I can use any of those formats. And the floating static route, I can use any of these formats. What is the format of a route statement? Let's take a look. The very first thing, you have to start all route statements off with IP route. That's how the router knows that you're getting ready to enter in a static route statement. The next thing you're going to add is the destination network. Where is this packet going? What is the destination network? Next, you have to include the destination subnet mask, followed by the exit interface if you are writing a directly connected static route only. If you were writing a next hop static route, then it would be the next hop address. And if you're doing a fully specified route, you would use both of those. You would use the exit interface and the next hop static route. Let's take a look at what these would look like. A standard static route will designate the destination address and the subnet mask. A static route can be created by using an IP address, an exit interface, or both. The format used to identify getting to the destination determines the route type. Here is the next hop static route. Let's take a look at it. I would start out with IP route, and this is what I'm going to be putting in the router. The goal and the job of a static route is to get a packet to a destination. And you, as the network administrator, you have to give these commands or give these directions to the router so the router knows how to do that. We would start with IP route, and then if the packet is destined to network 10.10.0.0 to the subnet mask 255.255.0.0, and then what is the next hop address? So where is it got to go to next? Then we're going to look at a directly connected static route. Here we only have to specify the exit interface of the router. Here's an example of what it would look like. The IP route, 10.10.0.0, the subnet mask, and then what the exit interface is. So we're just like kicking it down the curb, like just go on out that interface and hit the next router. Finally, we've got the fully specified static route where we would include the exit interface and the next hop. Here we've got IP route, 10.10.0.0, 255.255.0.0, the exit interface, followed by the next hop address. And all three of these are going to get that packet to the same destination. It's just a different way to write. Let's take a look at some of these terms that we were talking about. Here's a network, and when you're writing static routes, it's always from the perspective of the router. If I'm on this router right here, well, the next hop address from this router would be the address that is on this interface right here. And we can see that S021, this is going to be 63.63.0.1. For this interface down here, the address is 63.63.0.2. If I needed to write an IP route statement that would allow this network to talk to this network, I would write it like this. IP route, and then what is the destination? This router needs to get a packet from here to this network. So the destination network is 192.168.10.96. The destination subnet mask is the 255.255.255.24. And then what is the next hop address? Well, from this router, the next hop, if I hop down, right, I can see that this is the interface, and I just have to tell the route statement what the address is for that interface. Okay, that is a next hop static route. Let's look at a exit interface static route. This time what I'll do is I will go from, let's go from the warehouse over to customer service. It doesn't matter that I'm going from the warehouse because it is the router that does the work. Okay, this router is going to do the work to get that packet over to customer service. IP route, Now, where do we want to go? Well, I want to talk to customer service. The destination network is the 192.168.10.96. I'm going to put in the destination subnet mask. Now, instead of using the next hop address, I'm using the exit interface, which is S021. I'm going to do S021. When this router receives a packet from the warehouse destined to customer service, it will look in the route table and it'll be like, oh, if I have a packet that needs to be sent to 192.168.10.96, let me just push it out of the interface, S021. Hey, now what if I wanted to do the same thing but create a fully specified route? I can do that as well. The only difference is that I am giving the router all of the information. I am providing the next hop address. I'm providing the exit interface, followed by the next hop address. Okay, those are the three ways to write the routes. What I recommend whenever you're doing static routing, have a topology in front of you and be looking at it to help you write your routes. Okay, I hope that helps you understand a little bit more about static routes.